Imagine not playing this right now because of woke or some other insane reason.
I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean that.
The artists at Sucker Punch need a raise, bro, because this is some of the most gorgeous scenery I've ever witnessed. Ghost of Yotei's gameplay is peak, but the art really elevates everything to another level.
This particular screenshot looks like a PS3 game, LMAO.
Get the hell out of my life! Who needs you? Beat it! Leave me alone!
I'm sorry, babe. I didn't mean that either. I just yell sometimes because I get so scared.
What is up, Space Pirates? This is your Admiral, the certifiably suave Dr. Disaster. And desperation is an ugly thing, isn't it? Ghost of Yotei has found itself heavily criticized by the cultural right and it's being boycotted. But the progressive shitlibs and the corporate simps out there are absolutely desperate to prove that a game can sell well under those circumstances.
Have mercy. Please, please.
There is no mercy.
And the reason for their desperation is quite apparent. It has led to a desperate claim that Ghost of Yotei has sold a bazillion copies already. But before we look into that, let's get some context. Think about all of the recent, overtly woke games over the past year or so and how terribly they have performed. One of the most famous examples was Dragon Age the Veilguard, where they pushed LGBT crap right into the forefront of the game, and it was laughed right out of the market.
Are you trying to have sex with me? Hadn't really thought that far ahead, but maybe? Quick, think about us having sex.
I'm fine, I just, threw up in my mouth a little bit.
But there have been plenty of other examples over the past year or so. Avowed flopped. Star Wars Outlaws was rejected. Concord was one of the biggest flops of all time. Even Assassin's Creed Shadows was a massive disappointment, costing Ubisoft an estimated $100 million in lost money. Game journalists and the paid influencer types shilled hard for each and every one of those major AAA games which dove headlong into the culture war, and each of them had massive marketing campaigns with big dollars spent. This is what has led to their desperation to break the spell and prove that they can push a game over the finish line even with the cultural right pushing back against it.
Go ahead! We don't need ya!
With that in mind, it makes sense why we are seeing articles like this one claiming that Ghost of Yotei has sold 1 million copies in its first day, claiming in its byline that it's already a massive success. There has been no official word from Sony or Sucker Punch about the game's sales numbers thus far, so where is this article getting its information from? This account right here on X, an account with less than 10,000 followers, with no history of actual insider information and no track record of saying anything that would actually make you believe they're a real insider. This person doesn't even tweet that much, like 3 to 5 times per month, and almost none of it is insider information. It's usually information after the fact. They're just reporting on the news. But the leftists and the corporate ass-kissers, but I'm repeating myself, aren't I? Anyhow, those people are desperate to cling to this kind of narrative, leading them to say shit like this.
Ghost of Yotei sold 1.3 million copies on the first day. Why do people still follow this idiot?
So angry!
Alright, me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I've had a lot of people tell me that they have been unwillingly unsubscribed to the channel, so make sure you check into that, and also, give me a follow over on X, where my handle is Dr. Disaster 1. And if you feel like supporting the channel and helping keep the lights on, consider becoming a member for as little as $5 per month. But alright, let's take a look at this narrative conjured out of whole cloth that Ghost of Yotei has outsold Ghost of Tsushima. Now, keep in mind that this is a game, Ghost of Yotei, that should outsell its predecessor, considering that the original was a brand new IP with no established fan base at all, and Ghost of Tsushima ended up being just about the best game released back in 2020. People fell in love with it, and the fact that it didn't end up beating The Last of Us Part 2 for the Game of the Year at the Game Awards that year is such a travesty of justice that the phenomenon deserves to be studied by historians to understand how in the hell the Game Awards got it so wrong. So, with that pedigree in its corner this time, Ghost of Yotei, and I am not exaggerating when I say this, but Ghost of Yotei should sell something like 4 or 5 million copies in its first week or so, doubling the roughly 2.4 million that Ghost of Tsushima sold in its first 3 days. If this narrative that they're trying to push is true, that Ghost of Yotei is barely outselling Tsushima, but if it's true, then that is a major disappointment for Sony. And keep in mind that I fully expect this game to sell a few million in its first weekend. Those will be the die-hard Sony fanboys, the cultural auto-intake zombies, and the progressive freaks who want to show solidarity with the likes of Erika Ishii, the activist lead actor in the game. Those sales will come from those people. So, this narrative of theirs isn't far off from what I expect to be the truth, but the fact that people are running with this number of 1 million copies sold in the first day is extremely telling when they are doing it without any confirmation from Sony or Sucker Punch themselves. They are nervous. These people are nervous because they know that the cultural right, the chuds, have tanked the sales of a lot of games in the past, and they are desperate to prove that they don't need us. But let's read this article here where they uncritically accept the sales number provided by the so-called insider account, claiming that Ghost of Yotei is already an astonishing success. This comes to us here from the website Tech for Gamers, and it says, despite all the controversy surrounding the game, Ghost of Yotei has come out on top and has managed to garner a mostly positive reception from both the players and the critics. It is reportedly even doing well in the sales department, according to some new information. I love how they don't explain where this new information comes from before they just assert it as if it's fact, as they're about to do in just a second here. But anyhow, they say, according to some new information, Ghost of Yotei has already sold over 1 million copies on its first day. It is selling at a faster pace than its predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima, which will be a welcome sign for Sucker Punch. Why it matters. Before the release, Yotei's success looked questionable based on the people's reactions and the political comments the studio made. However, it is thriving based on the sales figures. Just look at all of that assertive language there, saying that the game is thriving, saying that it is selling at a faster pace than its predecessor. These people really need this to be the case. Anyhow, here in the article, they show the actual original tweet where this person says, hearing 1.3 million sold in first day for Yotei, ever so slightly ahead of Tsushima's first 24 hours of 1.25 million. Tsushima kept pace on its second day with another 1.15 million sold. Can Yotei keep up? And do you want to know one of the biggest reasons why this tweet is likely bullshit? This person got basic facts wrong. She says that Tsushima sold 1.15 million in its second day, suggesting that the game hit 2.4 million sales in 2 days. But Sony clearly announced in this old tweet here that the game sold 2.4 million in 3 days. So, either Ghost of Tsushima didn't sell any copies at all on day 3, or this supposed insider got very basic facts wrong, calling their credibility completely into question, and it calls into question the journalistic integrity of this website Tech for Gamers, who didn't bother to do the same level of basic fact-checking that I did. Instead of looking into these basic facts that this scooper messed up, they wrote below the image of this tweet, according to insider Millie Amond, Ghost of Yotei on its first day sold 1.3 million copies, while Ghost of Tsushima sold 1.25 million, which puts it ahead of its predecessor. It will be seen whether it can keep it up in the long run. As of 2024, Ghost of Tsushima had sold over 13 million copies, which is a decent number for an exclusive title, but in that time frame, it also released on PC. The general response towards Yotei is more positive, hinting at good things to come. And you know what? Like I said, I fully expect to find out that Ghost of Yotei sold a few million copies in its first few days. The numbers that we saw on PSN profiles does not suggest that this will be the case, but I expect that the game will hit those numbers anyhow. Ghost of Tsushima built up a lot of fan goodwill after all, and there are a bunch of normies out there who will want to buy the game because of the nostalgia of Ghost of Tsushima. And the marketing campaign for Ghost of Yotei has been massive. The reported development budget for Ghost of Yotei is only $60 million, which is why this game will, in fact, make money for Sony. Sucker Punch was obviously very disciplined in their development, but based on the advertising blitzkrieg that we have seen over the past few days, indistinguishable from the marketing of other big-budget games like Dragon Age the Veilguard or Borderlands 4, well, I imagine that Sony spent the usual $100 million or so on marketing. This means that Ghost of Yotei will need probably around $160 million to break even, which should be something that they readily achieve in their first month or so. About 3 million copies would accomplish this, but this game should have been a major hit. It should have helped them make up for all the lost money that they had with the likes of Concord last year, building on the wild success of Tsushima. And the real struggle that this game has right now is with the game journalists pushing this narrative that the chuds are not needed in order to sell copies. That is why this article that we looked at is doing the whole fake it till you make it BS, but this game ought to be bragging about 4 or 5 million in sales numbers, if not for all of the controversial shit that has happened with Ghost of Yotei. If it were a true sequel to Jin Sakai's story, it clearly would be at that level. It will be interesting to see where they actually land if and when Sony makes an actual numbers announcement. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your contempt for these scumbag game journalists and their sycophants who push this fake crap out into the internet. Drop that contempt into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.